Now is the time in our service where we enter into our meditation together. So I invite you now to just gently close your eyes. And to remind yourself again of the words we just sang, to be still and to know. Becoming still as you feel your body begin to relax. Thoughts in your mind becoming just that, just thoughts. Allowing those thoughts to be, but just realizing them for what they are, simply thoughts. And I ask you to begin today in our time of meditation to envision the word dream. Dream. Knowing that some of the biggest achievements in this world, some of the biggest achievements that you have made, started as a dream within your imagination. What is your dream today? What do you envision for humanity? What do you envision for your family, your friends, and yourself? It lies within that knowing that our dreams have the power to change our life. Today we think about and we honor the dream that Martin Luther King Jr. had. Dream for this world to become a better place, an equal place. And it started with the dream. So today we activate that power, that spiritual power of imagination. We rekindle our dreams through that power, helping to keep those dreams vivid and alive and real. We call in our zeal and our enthusiasm to work toward creating a life, the life of our dreams. Allow your imagination to turn on right now, and allow your imagination to fly freely and to open wide. As we enter into our time of silence, I invite you to just allow that imagination to continue to open, allowing your dreams to play out, maybe like a film, or maybe it's a thought or a feeling. Just allow it to be. No dream too large, no dream too small, as we enter into our time of silence. I invite you to now bring your attention and your awareness back to this moment. So we know today that Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream. What is yours? What is Spirit showing you? Where are you feeling guided to go? What are you feeling guided to do? What do you see in your imagination? I invite you to affirm, again, our daily word affirmation. I turn my dreams into reality. I turn my dreams into reality. Just hold that vision today as we go through this day and through the rest of this week. What is it that you dream? We just breathe into this moment. And we affirm, so it is. Namaste. And let's continue to affirm that as we sing it. And I know you're not here with us in person, but let's hear it again for the Unity Jazz Band. Woo! All right. So welcome. I'm Reverend Evin, for those of you who may be tuning in for the first time. Now, there was a couple more announcements I wanted to make just before I get started. I didn't have a slide done on these, so I wanted to just mention them while I'm up here. So many of you that have been getting your e-blast are probably aware that we're going to have a winter book study There is a poll that is out there right now. You can find the link to that in your e-blast. So go on and vote for one of our books if you haven't already. We've got some really good selections on there. We want your vote to count, so you'll have up until next Thursday to vote. And then Sunday, this next Sunday, a week from today, I will announce the winner. And then we will kick that book study off on February 21st, just to give everybody time to get the book. So there's that coming up. Next, I want to give a save the date. Please save the date of Tuesday, February 9th. And I'll give you a little hint. Expect a class that's going to be back by popular request. So just hold that. More information on that is coming soon. We also, if you will go to our Unity calendar on our website, we're linking to several MLK Day events, so check those out. There's going to be a few on there, so maybe pick one that you would like to attend, and there may be a special event coming up in the evening as well tomorrow, so be sure to check your calendar. Also check, because there's going to be prayer and meditation events coming up by our spiritual care team, myself and Pete, so check the calendar for that. And just keep your eye on the calendar for other events that may pop up this week. It's going to be a different kind of week for our country, so we just want to make sure that everybody has opportunities for prayer and meditation. Josie? Yeah, and Josie, like Josie just mentioned, from 1 to 1:30 every day, it will be on the calendar to the Zoom link. You can call in for one-on-one prayer with one of our prayer chaplains. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, there's also Silent Unity still out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So when we're not available, Silent Unity will be. So just remember that as we go through the week. So I want to start by talking a little bit about a great man. Now, a great man once said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." So maybe you've heard of this man, and maybe you've seen photos of this man. You've probably heard his speeches, and you may have even heard his name. His name was Martin Luther King Jr. He had a dream, and he made it his life's work to fight for justice, to fight for peace, and to fight for equality. And as we all know by now, this man, Martin Luther King Jr., was assassinated on April 4th of 1968 at the young age of 39. So we ask ourselves, why? Why did this happen? Do some people really feel so threatened by the thought of the idea of others having the same rights? The same opportunities? Are they threatened by that? Are they threatened to the point where they feel it's okay to silence those that fight for it? To silence those that have a dream for it? Now, last week, if you listened to my talk, I mentioned Christianity and how at times that I have felt ashamed to identify as such, due to what I feel is a tarnishment to the label and to the name. Now, as we know, as the entire world knows, people recently stormed our United States Capitol building, holding crosses and holding signs bearing the name of Jesus. Shouldn't Christians instead be living as the master of teacher of Christianity, Jesus, showed us how to live? Now, I don't know if, I'm the only one feeling this way, but this isn't something that we can sit on the fence on. We're either with the teachings and living the teachings of Jesus, or we're not. This isn't a time to decide that we're going to relax into some gray area, to sit within the confines of our safety bubble, and to be silent observers to the upheaval that we've seen going on lately. Especially when it's being done in the name of something we hold so sacred, in the name of Christianity. Now, Martin Luther King Jr. once stated, "The time is always right to do what's right." So we must make a decision. We must decide that we're going to do what is right. We look back at the time in which Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and we may think, whew, thank goodness times have changed. But have they really changed? We've got people marching on our sacred democratic institutions bearing neo-Nazi symbols and nooses. So I ask you again, have times really changed? You may have asked yourself or recently started asking yourself, well, what is it that I can do? What can I do to help? Now, I've been guilty of sitting in that bubble before, that safety bubble, looking around and thinking, even if only on a subconscious level, well, what's going on right there doesn't really affect me. This was kind of my way of thinking as a younger adult, and maybe a lot of us were in that place too. And it wasn't conscious thinking, but it's how I was living my life. But you know what? It does affect me because what happens to you is also happening to me. Jesus once said in Matthew 25:40, I tell you the truth. When you did it to one of the least of my brothers and sisters, you were doing it to me. So here's a term again, and it's something you've likely familiar with if you've been around our teachings or other similar teachings long enough. It's oneness, the term of oneness. This even goes back to the days of the Bible, the book in which has far too often been used as a weapon and as a tool to separate. 1 Corinthians 12:13 says, for in one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and we were all made to drink of one Spirit. It doesn't say that those people from Mexico have their own. So let's build a wall to keep them out. That group of women over there, let's design ways to keep them down and to put them in their place. Oops, those LGBT folks. Well, they've got one too. Let's tell them that who they love is wrong. And don't get me started on Muslims, and there's so many more different groups out there where we've got that separation, that perceived sense of false separation. All were made to drink one Spirit, of one Spirit. So it's pretty clear to me. That doesn't seem like much of a gray area to me. So you can start by your realization of oneness. Our realization of oneness. It's beginning to realize that in reality there are no Democrats, there are no Republicans, there are no independents. It doesn't mean we're always going to agree with the other side. It doesn't mean we're always going to agree with what they're doing or what beliefs they have, but in reality, those things don't exist. Those political parties don't even really exist. We've got to start the healing process of coming together, of seeing our oneness and able to move into peace, to move into that sacred place. And it starts with you. You don't have to go out and organize some big march on Washington. You don't have to run for office or start your own religion. It can start right here inside the heart, inside of you. Martin Luther King Jr. also once said, be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be a sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or fail. Be the best of whatever you are. So it starts with you. It starts with you right now, wherever you may be, with however you may see yourself right now. Regardless as to whether you're a sun or a star, you are a part of that interconnectedness that creates the whole. Whether you are a trail instead of a highway, a bush instead of a tree, it takes each and every one of those things to be a part of that interconnectedness. What is it that each one of those things does? They all help something else, don't they? The stars shine when the sun has gone down for the day, helping to light our path. The trail takes us places that the highway cannot, helping us along our journey. The bush provides cover for those who can't climb to the heights within the tree. Wherever it is, each one of those things helps the other. Each one is a part of the interconnectedness that each and every one of us all are. Each one of us is a part of one. So it starts right here with you. Martin Luther King Jr. also once said, those who love peace must organize as effectively as those who love war. So James 3:18 of the Bible tells us, those who make peace sow the seeds of justice by their peaceful acts. So it can be pretty easy to look around us right now and think of war. As of the time I sat down to write this talk, I didn't know what I was going to wake up to this morning. I didn't know what I was going to flip the news on and see. None of us did. Have there been more threats of insurrection, more threats of violence? There was no way to know. I can't tell you what we're going to see today when we leave church, or what the week is going to, what's going to unfold as we go through the week. Do I believe those that are bringing their own versions of war right now love war? That's pretty doubtful that anybody actually loves war. I believe that everyone seeks peace. They may not be consciously aware of this at the moment, during that moment of reaction, but I believe inside that's what we all ultimately want. What we must realize, though, is that there isn't really even a war out there. There never really even was. The war is inside of here. The war has begun with fear. Fear of perceived differences, fear of change, fear of moving into something that for many people is unknown. It's losing that whole saying of, but that's the way we've always done it. Or that's the way it's always been. So that's the way it's got to stay. The war is sin. Sin is something that unity defines as that false sense of separation from God. We ultimately know that this can never happen, yet sometimes we all forget about it. We all forget it at one time or the other, and we lose sense of God that dwells within each and every one of us. And as we lose that sense, we begin to believe, it must be true. We must really be separated when we're not. We may even start to ask ourselves, where is God in all of this? Where is God when I need it the most? God hasn't gone anywhere. Not when you felt pain, and not now during the midst of any chaos we may be experiencing. God is always, always within. So that war isn't real. It's not even true. What's true is the fear that some are feeling right now. And that feeling of fear is this manufactured feeling that the ego is desperately trying to maintain. And despite that fear, we all have to move through it. Even those that don't fear it and welcome change, we still all have to move through it with those who hold that fear. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Something that Josie just said earlier in her prayer. We've been sitting in that dark for far too long. It's like I mentioned last week, the racism, the misogyny, fear of those we perceive as different than ourselves, and so many other things. Those things can't continue the way that they have been continuing. It's time someone reach up and turn on the freaking light switch. Turn on the light. Most things don't grow in the dark. Most things don't thrive in the dark. Martin Luther King Jr. was but one man. One man whose life was cut too short at the age of 39. Gandhi was but one man. Harriet Tubman was but one woman. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one woman. But the changes they set into motion, that person can also be you. Your name doesn't ever even have to be put in the paper or found on the internet. You don't have to stand up and give some grand speech like Martin Luther King Jr. did. You don't have to walk to distant lands like Jesus, with people begging to touch your cloak. You can be that change right now. You can be the peace that cuts through that darkness. You can be the one to just simply reach over and turn on the light switch. Maybe it's creating a prayer group. Maybe it's sitting in meditation with others or even with yourself. Just striving to be and being the best version of yourself. Helping a neighbor or a friend when they need your help the most. Giving someone a smile. Looking someone in the eye when you speak to them or when you pass them on the street. Just showing compassion. Showing love. You can be that person. So let's remember this as we go through this week. It's been dark for far too long. Let's help not only turn on the light switch, but to be the light that shines when we do. So to end, I say to you today, my friends, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as brothers and sisters. I have a dream today. Martin Luther King Jr. Namaste. And I now invite Steve back up for some more jazz band.
You're probably going to think that Pete and I got together and planned this, but it just happened by accident. So here we go. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around my neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around my neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. Around my neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, hide it under a bushel. I don't think so. I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. 'Cause this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you again, Pete and Steve and Sherry from afar, because we know that Sherry is here with us. Even today, her energy is here with us. So, and get well, Sherry. We want to see you again soon. So, and speaking of letting your light shine, I know a way that you can do that. One way you can do that is to consider joining our board. So we've still got applications right now, and they're due back January 31st, preferably sooner if you can get them done sooner, just so we can go ahead and chat with you and just find out a little bit about you. And hey, we've had a really good board this year, and we'd love for you to be a part of that. So consider that if you haven't already. Go into it with prayer and let us know. We'll be happy to get you a board application. So our youth ed is still happening. Our youth director, Helen Kenyon, has still been diligently every Sunday offering lessons, wonderful lessons. So let's think about them and hold them in prayer too, as we go through the week. We tend to think of the stuff that the adults are going through, but, kids haven't been able to go to school and be around their friends like they've been used to doing. So let's hold them in prayer. And I invite you to join me as we give our children and our youth education department a blessing. So, children and youth ed department, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are. And now, time for our offertory. I know I say this every Sunday, but we never know when we may have new people watching. But obviously, we can't pass an offering about a virtual offering basket around. So you can go to our website, unityofmadison.org, hit the donate button and donate online. We still accept old-fashioned snail mail, so that's fine too. You can bring it by the church or even just put it in our drop box on Tompkins Street where the cross is. Our drop box is there, and it locks, so it will be secure if you put it in there. And again, I say this every Sunday too, but I really mean this. I cannot begin to tell you how grateful I am to each and every one of you who had continued to generously donate to our church. You've helped us, to keep the lights on, to keep, just keep everything going, to keep our wonderful music, and well, me too. Help me put food on the table, so I appreciate that as well. But I do appreciate, Martin, Helen, just helping keep all of these things going. So, I'm grateful. Know that I'm grateful to you. So let's continue to just hold those thoughts of prosperity as we sing our song, I Am So Blessed.